Hi everybody, in today's video from my series The Sexually Empowered Entrepreneur, I will explain to you how to express that you need more closeness or more personal space while respecting your partner's needs. Now, one of the reasons that this is a question that holds true for many people is that many people feel that their partner is or smothering, coming so close that they have no room to breathe anymore, or they have a partner that is too distant, that make them feel unloved, unappreciated. And so I will explain to you why this is the case for so many people. We have to go back in time to Bowlby. Bowlby, in the beginning of the 60s, the end of the 50s, came with the attachment theory, in which he posts that the primary caregiving that the relationship an infant has with their primary caregiver shapes what I call an attachment blueprint that you will carry for your entire life. And uh, he uh, he hypothesized that it would not change. However, luckily, current research has shown that there is evolution possible. However, it is not as simple. Now, this was all very theoretical and observational, and so after a while, Ainsworth, she in the 90s, in the beginning of the 90s, created a bunch of evidence-based research that really dug deep into the scientific rigor, empirical. She gathered a bunch of empirical evidence. Now, Hazen and Shaver in 1978, they started to see, okay, this attachment blueprint, is it true? Does it live on in adult life? And yes, with their adult attachment theory, they have found, yes, that the patterns that come up in childhood live on very strongly. And what is very interesting is that the adult attachment theory in the field of intimate relationships is one of the best researched and the best empirically sound models that is there in modern psychology. So let's get a bit deeper into that. Now, what we ask is so what Bobby said, like, the question is the attachment figure the main attachment figure, in other words, the primary caregiver in childhood, but later also in Hazen and Shaver, like your intimate partners, the people that you're closest to, are they near, are they near, are they attentive, and are they responsive? So that's the question that you have to ask yourself. Well, with me, for example, my parents, were they near, were they attentive, and were they responsive to my needs or not? Now, but also, so uh, what also happens is, so it happens, you have this. So if the answer is yes, well, you're in luck, because then you have what it takes. You have a predisposition to become a secure person, a person that is secure, that knows they're worthy of love, that trusts themselves and trust others. And what happens is that you get, for sure, the child is confident, secure, and feels, well, yeah, love, that he can receive love and can give love. Uh, what is also true is that in the behaviors, children and adults with a secure attachment blueprint, they are much more explorative and sociable. So what happens is that they are comfortable with both closeness and separation. And, well, with my work with people, I see that when people get what what happens here to here, many good things happen. There's much less fights, there is a much deeper sense of love, higher confidence, and, well, high desire. Because to have high lasting desire, there needs to be some separation. So because when you're too close, like if you're both anxious and you try to keep too close, you have no space to breathe, so you want to create some space. But to do that, you have to be able to be secure that when you need your partner, that they will be there for you. Now, what if the answer is no? Well, then you're a bit less in luck, and then you will develop an insecure attachment blueprint, which is like a behavior pattern and an urge pattern. So what happens is that you will get a certain hierarchy of attachment behaviors that are actually made to make sure you get more closeness. Because way back in time, when we did not have, well, the people of our tribe, if you would be rejected, we would die. So those attachment systems are very important for us as a human species to survive. That's working together. Now, what happens if you have a consistent no? So if your parents are almost never available, for sure on an emotional level, then what happens is that children, it's like a child that when you walk into the room as a parent, your child doesn't even look up. And when you want to play with them, they ignore you completely. Why? They learned, like, I cannot trust the other, I cannot trust my caregiver, or later in life if you develop that, I cannot trust my intimate partner. And so they seem to be avoidant of contact, and actually they appear to be indifferent, to separation and reunion. And what I have to say is that it doesn't need to come from childhood. When, for example, later in life you get your heart broken, you can develop such an avoidance system. For me, for example, I am securely attached from childhood. I was very lucky with my parents. But then, when I was 21, but I was pretty shy with women. And then when I was 21, my first girlfriend dumped me, and after that, a month later, my father, who I love dearly, died. And in that moment, I think I cannot depend on other people. I can only depend on myself. And so I happened to be very securely attached until the moment something triggered me, and then I became avoidant. And that means that I became critical. I needed more personal space. I said and did things to create more space so I could feel good enough. But then when they would go too far away, well, then I would switch back into my needs, because also people with an avoidance style, they need social contact. Now, what happens if it's an inconsistent no? If your parents sometimes are available and sometimes not, or if your partner sometimes is available or sometimes is not, well, what happens is then you will have what they call anxious attachment style. What they call it, I would call it more an anxious attachment blueprint, which means that you're preoccupied by your attachment figure in childhood, your caregiver, and later in life, your intimate partner. And so what happens is that you will have a lot of anxiousness about separation and about exploration. So those people are very often pretty afraid. Now you have an extra type, but it's very small, where you have a combination of anxious and avoidant behaviors. They call them fearful people, but these people are often very traumatized by, well, the people in their childhood or the people in their past, and so they switch between being anxious and smothering their partner, or being avoidant and pushing. It's like really the push-pull in an extreme manner. Now, what is interesting is that research has shown that anxious and avoidant people are very attracted to each other. They have very passionate relationship in the beginning, but very soon they get stuck in this painful push-pull battle, which is addictive, because when you go away, when the avoidant partner is pushing, there's separation, there's a lot of anxiety and fear and conflict, because the preoccupied, the anxious person will lash out, because she or he will do everything that they can to get more closeness, and then the other person tries to go more away. Now, why is that? Well, the anxious person is attracted to the avoidant person because the person that awakened that anxious attachment style, that installed that attachment blueprint, was like that. So the neurology recognizes this as home, and so it feels like I've known there all my life. Yes, you did, because it was your parent or it was a former partner that broke your heart. But because you know it, neurology says this is safe. You're safe in the pain. Now, what you also have for the avoidant, well, you would say, like, why would they want a clingy girl? Well, what it does, it gives you an ego boost. So avoidant people, they say, I cannot trust other people, I can only trust this one. And so when then you have a person that really admires you, that really falls for you, that gives themselves completely, like, I'm the man. But then inevitably, pretty soon, you, as an avoidant person with an avoidant attachment blueprint, then you will get irritated and start to become hurtful. And what you get is like this push-pull battle where both feel guilty because they hurt each other, and both feel trapped in an unsatisfying situation. Okay. So, what the best way to get out of this is to become a more secure person. And there are a whole bunch of techniques that you can use, but one of the best ways to use it is to learn how to communicate your needs as an avoidant person. To communicate your need for personal space and self-determination, and as an anxious person, communicate their need for more love, for affirmation that they are worthy of love, because they have learned that they cannot trust themselves to be worthy of love. And that's also why a lot of very high-level entrepreneurs are insecurely attached. One part is the people who are anxious, that work very, very hard to prove to other people how worthy they are of love. And they try to fill their ego, they try to fill that lack in self-esteem and in that lack in love in their heart and in their stomach by external validation. Now, the avoidants, they have a similar thing. And there's people say, like, hey man, I don't need no external validation. Of course not. Because you got hurt so much that you internalize this need. And so you only look for validation from yourself. But it stays validation. And what is validation? Validation means that you're trying to prove to yourself that you are worthwhile, that you are a top person. But that is ego-based. And the problem with ego is it is a bucket that leaks. And so you keep pouring in shit and keeps pouring out. It will prevent you to become really satisfied as an entrepreneur. Now, what to do? Well, we go to this side. We go to Rosenberg, also back in the 60s, and he created a system for negotiation within intimate partners, within countries even. So it goes from just intimate life and the relationships with the partners until relationships between countries that have been in war for years. And what happens is most of us communicate our needs in ways that make us more fearful, more aggressive, and more disconnected from each other. which of course hardens the insecurity and the insecure attachment blueprint. So now what I want you to see is, what is it? What is violent communication? Well, violent communication is backed up by wanting moralistic judgments. We judge other people and ourselves all the time, and that of course blocks compassion. Because if you say you are wrong, you are a prick, I am so stupid, I can never do that, you always do blah blah, in that moment you stop really paying attention to what is going on, and you stop trying to look for the possibility to improve your own life and the lives of other people. So one of the basic premises of Rosenberg's nonviolent communication is that he says we humans, if you're, and then I add, if you're not a psychopath or full blown narcissist, we want to improve our own lives and the lives of others. We want to help everybody to thrive deeply. But when we feel attacked, then we feel attacked back. And when we feel that somebody else is trying to force us, then things go forward. So what you have is this. So how can you, and then next to the judgments that put down empathy, it's with demands. We want another person to do something for us to fulfill our needs, and so we gonna stay demands. And what is a demand? Well, demand is you ask somebody to do something, and then if they do it, you reward them with, for example, attention and love, or you punish them and shame them and try to push them in a guilt trip. You punish them. But the problem is, in that way, you don't, first of all, you don't take ownership for your own emotions. You say, you made me angry because you did that. Instead of communicating, when you do that, then I think this, and then I get these feelings because this need is not fulfilled. So what you do, so you take no ownership. The other thing is that, sadly enough, even so, what you create, if you try to force another person by punishment or a reward, like trying to force another person to do something for you, people don't want to be a slave. You don't want to feel like a slave. You want to feel that you are self-reliant and you are self-determinated. So yeah, you can determine what you will and will not do. You want to feel free. We all want to feel free in connection. Now, so what I want to do is, if you want something from your partner or from your colleague or from your clients or from your children, from everybody that you have a relationship with, ask yourself, what do I want them to do, and why do I want them to do it? Because what often happens, if we force a person, we often get resistance. For sure, if you meet a person like me who's inherently pretty disagreeable, and so you get resistance. So sometimes if I want to do something for somebody, and then I feel that they try to force me to do it, I will never do it. I know it is a disagreeableness. My self-determination is very important. Now, but why? But some people, they're much more agreeable, and so they go with thinking. But the problem is that they will feel some resentment. And you, as a person that get what you want out of force, you will feel unsatisfied too. Why? Because the why. Why did your conversational partner do what you asked them to do? Well, not because they want to improve your life, because they were afraid. They were afraid of the consequences. That if they would say no, that you would become angry, you would shame them, you would judge them, you would punish them or take things away that you like. So, what is the alternative? Well, that is the nonviolent communication, and it has like 4 basic premises. The first is you have to learn to express an observation of the situation without a judgment. And I can tell you that it is not that easy. For example, if you say she procrastinates, that means that in that verb, without acknowledging that it's a judgment, you're judging her. You're saying she's procrastinating. First of all, it's too general. No, you say, for example, what can you do? You can say, if she tends to only study for her exam the night before the exam. That's an observation. There's no judgment in. And then you have a bunch of other types of judgments. You have another bunch of types. For example, say I feel, and I feel we say oh it's good. But very often we say I feel you disrespect me. So what do? You internalize the interpretation of your partner's interpretation or judgment of you, which can be true or cannot be true. But the problem is that people will feel attacked when you do all those things. So what we are going to do then, so you want to really dig deep, ask, okay, is there an inherent hidden judgment in the thing that I said? Then, then we have to express our feelings. What do we feel? And what is more, then we dig deeper. Like, what creates those feelings? What need that I have is being fulfilled or not being fulfilled? And the need is, for example, self-determination. The need is creativity. There are a bunch of needs that we have that are very essential to our well-being. And if they are not being fulfilled, then we get an emotional reaction. So if you can do that, if you feel a certain feeling, and then instead of to look to where you can point the finger for that uncomfortable feeling, but look inside and say, okay, what are my needs? What are the needs that are not being fulfilled, that awaken this uncomfortable feeling? Okay, so after you've done that, then you can think, okay, what specifically do I want my conversational partner to do to help me improve my lives? And it's very important to make a request and not a demand. And what is the main difference? Well, with a request, when your partner says no, when your conversational partner says no, they will not get punished. And when they say yes, they don't need to become rewarded. And that's one of the hardest things to do, to let that away, because we're so used from a very young age to try to manipulate each other to get what we want. But it is not necessary. And in Rosenberg's research and work, it has shown time and time again that when you learn to implement the principles of nonviolent communication, your partner or your conversational partner will be inspired to help you make your life better, to help you thrive, because it is a way of communication that will stimulate empathy with the other, but also empathy with yourself. So instead of just giving other people everything they want without taking into account your needs, you will learn to take into account your own needs and the needs of your partner. And so you learn how to create win-win situations, not about the surface stuff, but how we can satisfy the deeper lying needs. So because if you can do that, there are many ways to fulfill those needs that are not about the thing we were fighting about. Now, to do that is also very important to take ownership of your own feelings. In other words, an event, a thing that your conversational partner did, can awaken a certain process in your body. It can trigger a certain response in you. So what happens, we have a certain feeling that gets created because we have an unfulfilled need, and then we start to think and talk to ourselves. And very often, that's how we become very angry, because we start to have judgments about the thing the partner does, and about what that's supposed to mean, and about how they don't love us, for example, or how inattentive, or what a prick they are. And then we want to punish them, because then they will change. That does not work like that, sadly enough. Well, luckily enough. So that are the elements of, and if you learn how to do this non-violent communication, you can get fear down, fear to communicate what you need. You can, and what has research shown is like if you communicate more like a secure person who communicates a bit more like here, then people who are avoidant or anxious attached, they will become more securely attached. Their inner secure attachment blueprint will get magnified because we have all these blueprints inside. It's which one is more activated. And if your partner takes into account your needs, what happens is that anxious people will become more secure, more confident, will explore more, and will be able to handle more incrementally, more and more separation. So they will become much less clingy. And the avoidants, when they are allowed to take their personal space, when they don't get judged or get drama because they want their personal space, they can relax too. And then they feel like, oh, perhaps this person can be trusted. And then more and more, they will allow the partner to come closer, closer, and closer. So, but the one of the most challenging things to do, to get from that, to use the non-violent communication in something that is as close to our heart as the attachment systems, the closeness with our partner, you have to be able to stay present in intensity. In other words, if you get triggered, if your attachment blueprint gets triggered by something your partner does or something you think, and your emotions start to go up, your fight or flight response gets on, your sympathetic nervous system gets up because you get afraid or angry. What often happens is that our conscious mind leaves the place. So if you would be interested in to learn how to stay present when this starts to happen, then I would like you to become part of my Facebook group, because in one of the next 2 days I will put a value video there where you learn a technique, a powerful technique that is used by top athletes, by Olympic athletes, but also with pro fighters that use it to learn how to stay present, alert, and calm while their body is completely activated.